Friends and watchers of illusion, welcome to another Delboy film retrospective and unboxing. And well, it was my friend Steve that actually um, chose this film unexpectedly because we were having a chat this week um, about certain TV shows, and in my blog he mentioned Yes, Prime Minister, an old TV show that I eventually got to really love in my later teens, early 20s, but wasn't a particularly favourite comedy of mine when it first came out. So, Yes, Prime Minister is a BBC comedy show based around politics. And politics can shut you off. But looking back at it and doing a little bit of research, just to remind myself on why I liked it, I noticed that it was co-created by a guy called Jonathan Lynn. And I was thinking to myself, I've heard that name before. Where have I heard that name? And so when I had a little look at the films that have been made by Jonathan Lynn, this particular film came up. And oh my God, is it a corker? And it's one that I don't think really gets too much attention or talked about. So what film am I talking about? So today we're going to be talking about My Cousin Vinny. Yes, a comedy, a courtroom comedy at that. Directed by Jonathan Lynn, written by Dale Lorna, and starring Joe Pesci, Ralph Macchio, and Marisa Tomei, amongst many others. And it actually is noted as well as being a film that I've had on Laserdisc. So at the very early stages of me buying Laserdiscs, I bought this one. I bought it on DVD, and I didn't realise that I've only just bought it on Blu-ray. It's one of those ones where you slowly start to upgrade your collection. So, what is it about this film? Why is it such a fun film for me to go back to? First of all, it's incredibly funny. Incredibly funny. The different situations that happen to the main character of Joe Pesci is just so funny, and the relationship he has with Melissa Tomei is just absolutely brilliant. But the whole ensemble cast just basically work. I love courtroom dramas. This one actually is noted as being quite accurate, which is unusual when you consider it's a comedy. And I believe that the reason it's quite accurate is because the writer, Dale Lorna, actually got an education in law and actually nearly became a lawyer himself. So you've got a very, very good pedigree here. So what's the story about? It's actually quite a simple one. So there's two characters, Bill Gambini and Stan Rothenstein, played by Ralph Macchio and Michael Whitfield. So Ralph Macchio, if you haven't noticed, is actually a character who was in The Karate Kid. So he was fresh out of doing some great films already. So these two are driving through Southern America, in fact, through Georgia. And they stop off at a roadside shop called the Sack of Suds. And they're buying some goods. And they leave the store and just drive away innocently, and then find out later on, oh, I forgot to pay for a tin of tuna. Thinking nothing of it really and just driving on. They're just driving, minding their own business, when they're pulled over by a police car. And they're treated quite roughly, to be quite honest. They thought it was quite rough, being as the only thing that they'd done really bad was this tin of tuna. But they're taken back to the police station and interrogated, questioned, and then at the end they said, yeah, we'll admit we're guilty. But what they didn't know that they were admitting to being guilty to was a murder, because what happened was the store owner was held up and shot at gunpoint. So they're carted off to prison, and they've got no money. I mean, they're students driving through Georgia. So the only thing that that Ralph Macchio's character could do really is phone up his cousin. His cousin being Vinny Gambini, played by Joe Pesci, who's just passed his qualification on being a lawyer, but generally for injury lawyer type cases. It's taken him 5 or 6 times to actually get to be a lawyer, but he agrees to represent them for free. He thought it would be very good courtroom experience for him. So they travel to Georgia, and so starts a whole comedy gold film full of misadventure, misinterpretation, situations. Basically, Joe Pesci is from Brooklyn, very rough, very flamboyant, very thick Brooklyn accent, and he's sort of half Italian. So basically, he's in contempt of court all the way through this film. He doesn't wear suits. He doesn't talk in lawyers' language. But slowly and surely the case moves forward, and you just get to see a wonderful kaleidoscope of characters that you all get to know. That each single one of them is just absolutely brilliant to watch. Fred Gwynne, who is the main judge. He's been in The Munsters and is a well-respected actor. Just shines in this. But I think the greatest journey is Marisa Tomei's character. You'd think in 1992, many women in film are very stereotypically sort of like set in their ways as being the romance part of the film. But she actually is quintessentially the person that solves this particular case, and she her scenes in court just absolutely shine. They shine so much that she won an Oscar for this film. I didn't know too much about Marisa at this particular point. I knew she'd been in a Sylvester Stallone film called Oscar, and that was pretty much all that I knew about her. I didn't know too much about her television work, her theatre work. And of course, ever since then, she's gone on to bigger and better parts. She's been on Broadway. She was in another great film and favourite of mine, The Wrestler. And of course, she's played Aunt May as Spider-Man, a character that's very beloved to me. So really, that's the film. I go back to it quite regularly. I don't think it gets talked enough about, to be quite honest. But we're going to do an unboxing, because as you can see here, I've got my Blu-ray copy. I've seen this many times. I've got a digital copy. I've got it on Laserdisc. So I've actually looked at a file version of this film, which was off of the Blu-ray, and the picture quality I can talk about in a moment. So this is just a flat packed standard copy, My Cousin Vinny. You get very few extras, of which you get an audio commentary, theatrical trailer, and some TV spots. Very little really, but you do get a nice picture disc. And of course, it's all about the film, isn't it? Well, that's what us collectors want. We want the film. Looking at the picture quality, I thought it was quite sharp. Especially inside the courtroom, it is a bit muddy in colours. I think this would absolutely be brilliant as 4K. I think the colours would really stand out, because through this film, Joe Pesci has to wear a number of different outfits to conform to him being able to be a lawyer in the courtroom, and some of these outfits are quite vivid in colour. So that's pretty much the case. I think this is a definite thumbs up film. The pedigree speaks for itself. If you want to know, Dale Lorna also, I believe, wrote the script for, off of the top of my head, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Yeah, another comedy classic film. And I'm going to end it there. It's a very, very short film capsule review. My Cousin Vinny, a really great comedy film that doesn't get talked about enough. It's a definite thumbs up. I can't recommend it enough. And it definitely deserves a 4K release. And with that, I'm going to say salute. And I hope you enjoyed this small review. Bye-bye.